The Small Business Administration just sent me an email linking me to the portal where I can apply for a targeted economic injury disaster loan grant of $10,000. Just ensure you watch this video until the end so I can show you what the Small Business Administration press office wrote to me in response to my questions inquiring about when the federal agency intends to disburse $10,000 economic injury disaster loan grant to the rest of organizations that do not qualify for the targeted economic injury disaster loan grant pursuant to Section 332 of HR 133, the latest disaster relief package. So here's the email that Small Business Administration sent to me yesterday. SBA application, invitation to submit targeted EIDL advance application. So you know most of this information. Basically, these are the qualifications you already know. You have to operate a business in what the federal government classifies as a low-income community pursuant to Section 45DE of the Internal Revenue Code. I showed you that in a previous video. Pursuant to the Revenue Code, you have to be able to pass these tests. The poverty rate of such tract, your census tract, is at least 20%. In the case of a tract not located within the metropolitan area, the median family income for such tract does not exceed 80% of statewide family income. In the case of tract located within a metropolitan area, the median family income for such tract does not exceed 80% of the greater of statewide median family income or the metropolitan area median family income. And just ensure you watch this video all the way until the end, because I'm going to show you exactly how you can go ahead and find out whether you indeed operate your business in a small business community. Since I am among a select few with an open and direct line of communication with the Small Business Administration, click the subscribe button and click the bell notification so I can tell you exactly what they tell me when they tell me. Suffered economic loss greater than 30% as demonstrated by an 8-week period beginning on March 2nd, 2020 or later when compared to an 8-week period prior to March 2nd, 2020 or in 2019. Must have 300 or fewer employees. And here are a couple of tips that the Small Business Administration communicates to the recipients of these emails to ensure that your disbursement goes as smooth as possible. Double check that your account number and routing number are correct. They should be located at the bottom of your checks. And this is good that they listed this, because among the most widespread complaints that I read that from my viewers and other people who are applying for the economic injury disaster loan grant is that they submitted account information for a bank account that's not under the name that they applied for the economic injury disaster loan grant. In other words, the name associated with the bank account should match the name that is applying for the economic injury disaster loan grant. So people have suffered problems due to that. Also, addresses should match and all other forms of information pertaining to the account. They should also match with the application. Make sure that the routing number provided is usable for ACH payments. You got to be able to receive ACH payments. Bank name should be the official name of the bank. Please contact your name if you're unsure. Ensure you provide a checking account to facilitate the ACH before submitting. You must make sure the bank account you are providing satisfies the following. Just feel free to rewind the video and read through this stuff. I'm just going to go ahead and give you the most important parts. Account is opened using your business legal name, matching the values entered in the business information section on your application. So the name that you use to apply for the economic injury disaster loan grant should match the name of the bank account in which you intend to receive disbursement of economic injury disaster loan grant funds. Account has your business address and phone number. Account is open using your business tax ID, EIN. So that gives you some information. The other thing is that a number of people during the first round of the disbursement of the economic injury disaster loan grant suffered from reversals of deposits to online financial institutions such as Cash App, even PayPal. For some reason, those applications were rejecting because they are more susceptible to fraud, to fraudulent transactions. So they rejected the disbursements that were coming from the Small Business Administration. So you ideally want to use a bank account, business bank account that you open at a brick and mortar, more traditional mainstream bank. So for instance, Chase, Wells Fargo, etc. And this is a link pointing to the Targeted Advance application. I went ahead and already loaded it up. Here it is. Let's go for it. So this first form requests your EIN. Are all owners of the applicant U.S. citizens? Yes. Is any principal of the applicant with a 50% more than 6? Nope. Nobody's delinquent on child support. I'll pay for mine. The kids are right there. Well fed. A lot better fed than me. That's why I'm so slim. In the past year, has any owner of applicant been convicted? Nope. We're clean up in here. Everything we do is legal. Has applicant or owners engaged in the production, distribution, and product has been... Nope. Nothing obscene. I don't even curse on this channel or anywhere else. Yeah, right. Is applicant or owners of applicant currently suspended or debarred from contracting with the federal government? Nope. Is any owner of the applicant currently incarcerated? I'm right here. Nope. Is any owner of the applicant presently subject to indictment? There's no CO behind me. Criminal information arraignment. Is any owner of the applicant presently subject? Nope, nobody. Within the last 5 years for any felony, bribery, or false statement in a loan application or an application for federal financial assistance over the last year for any been convicted? Nobody's been convicted. Is applicant engaged in any illegal activity? No, sir. Does, no, and ma'am, whoever's reading this, does applicant present live performances of? Nope, no live performances. Does applicant derive more than 1/3 of grace? Nope, no gambling. Is applicant primarily engaged in political or lobbying activities? Nope. Is applicant owned by a state, local, or... Nope, nobody. I own it. Is applicant owned by a member of Congress? No, sir. I'm not elected to Congress. Is applicant an agricultural enterprise? I do not operate a farm. Is applicant a nursery farm that derives? Nope. Is applicant a pawn shop? No, I don't take any pawns. I don't pawn anything. Is applicant engaged in lending or investment? No, and I don't gouge you for high interest rates. Is applicant a loan packager that earns more than 1/3 of its gross? Nope, I don't package SBA loans. Applicant engaged in multi-level? I do not operate an MLM. Is applicant engaged in real estate? No, no, sir. Is applicant a life insurance? No. How many employees does applicant have as of the date? 1. Continue. Okay. So this is all the information in regards to the business. I go ahead and have to confirm all this. Yes, everything's correct. Select that box right there. Click continue. What's this? Complete the monthly gross receipts for each year listed in the form. New information. Please provide contact information for questions on this application. So it's asking for my phone number. So gross receipts. So we got to go ahead and enter this information. As you can see, I've entered the dollar amount for my gross receipts for each fiscal year, for fiscal year 2019, fiscal year 2020, and current year to date for January. And for February, what I've earned so far, which is 0, in each of its corresponding monthly sales. Once you've entered each value correctly, the left border will turn green. Then you have the option to click this checkbox, which is labeled, I hereby certify under penalty of perjury under the laws of the United States that the above is true and correct. Down here, for applicants that are limited liability companies, please select which form was used for applicants' businesses 2019 tax return. By the way, if you haven't filed your 2019 tax return, you have to do so in order to apply for this thing. I filed with Form 1040, Schedule C. Click the checkbox. Indicate to the form that you're not a robot by clicking that checkbox, and click the Submit button. And here's what you get. Targeted EIDL Advance application submitted. Please use this SBA application number as a reference. You will not receive an automatic email confirming this submission, so you want to print this page, and it reads in the next note, thank you for submitting your request for Targeted EIDL Advance. If we are able to successfully process your request, your application will move forward to the next stage of processing. You receive a follow-up email notifying you of changes to your status. If you're not able to approve your request, you will receive an email notification explaining the process decision. If your request is approved, the total amount of the targeted EIDL advance is $10,000 less any previous advance received. So if the Small Business Administration disbursed a grant of $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 at the $1,000 per employee rate that Small Business Administration was disbursing economic injury disaster loan grants, that you receive the difference of the $1,000 and the $10,000, and you'll get $9,000 if you got $1,000 during the first round of disbursements for the economic injury disaster loan grant. Pursuant to Section 331 of HR 133, the disaster relief package, the Small Business Administration has been mandated to process this application within 21 days time. So they either have to approve this application and disperse those funds, or tell you why they denied you for that. For instance, you did not operate your business in a low-income community, or you did not show that you suffered greater than 30% loss during an 8-week period, or whatever other reason, according to the law, you do not qualify for the Targeted EIDL program. So if you remember, on my last video, I closed it by telling you that I emailed the Small Business Administration press office asking them about when they are going to disburse the $10,000 economic injury disaster loan grant pursuant to Section 332. That mandates the Small Business Administration disperses grants to people according to the rules, according to the statutory language in the CARES Act, basically qualifying people based on simply requesting the economic injury disaster loan grant. So, as you remember, thank you so much for this comprehensive update. That was everything that they wrote to me about the Paycheck Protection Program. And it's clear that the SBA's targeted EIDL advanced guidance is executing Section 331 of HR 133, page 862. Congress appropriated $20 billion. However, pursuant to Section 332 on page 864, the SBA must disburse grants in the amount that an eligible applicant requests up to $10,000 without the criteria listed. Section 331, Congress appropriated $40 billion or $20 billion more to fund this program. If the administration under clause verifies an entity is submitting the request is an entity that is eligible as described in that clause, provide the advance requested by the entity. So what happens in the following scenario? This is a frequently asked question among viewers that I read in the comments section and elsewhere. Small business owner with one employee applies for an EIDL and receives a $1,000 grant under the 2020 $1,000 per employee SBA rule. Note, it was an SBA rule. It was not a law. And nowhere in the law does it read the Small Business Administration was to disperse $1,000 per employee. However, the CARES Act did give, according to the Nevada District Court and the court in Orlando, or the Middle District of Florida rather, that the Small Business Administration had the discretion to disperse EIDL grants at the $1,000 per employee rate, or at whatever rate they found fit. So this applicant does not operate their business in a low-income community. The applicant therefore only received $1,000 per employee, but pursuant to Section 332, SBA must pay out the full $10,000 if the applicant requests that amount. How can a business owning the aforementioned situation request a full $10,000 grant or the balance of the $10,000, $9,000 that she did not receive? So this is for people, the majority of you, who do not operate your business in a low-income community. In other words, for people who do not qualify for this targeted EIDL program. You got to remember, it's two different programs pursuant to the law. And thank you so much. I asked these questions. I actually followed up with Andrea Robker. She is the communications director for Region 5. Thank you so much for your responses to my community's inquiries. I noticed the SBA has been sending out links to the targeted EIDL grant application. Can you please let me know when the SBA will start to distribute EIDL grants pursuant to the modification of the CARES Act included in Section 332 of HR 133? Feel free to pause this and read it. I can make this available to you if you want to read the email that I've sent to them. This is Andrea Robker's page. She's the communication director. And does the SBA, remember the FAQs got released a couple of days ago? Does the SBA plan to open up the program to new applications beyond the first two priority? First priority being people who operate their small businesses in low-income communities and less than 300 employees, etc. All the rules suffered a greater than 30% revenue loss during the 8-week period. It reads, currently there are no plans to open the Targeted EIDL Advanced Program to new applicants beyond the first two priority groups. So currently they have no plans to do so, right? But this is but remember, for the Targeted EIDL Advanced Program. You gotta remember, Section 332 is another program. It basically modifies the disbursement of economic injury disaster loan grants pursuant to the CARES Act through December 31st, 2021. SBA's ability to accept new applications for the targeted EIDL will depend on the availability of funds, which the SBA will closely monitor. So there's already money for this set aside. Now, there's $40 billion for Section 332. That's pursuant to HR 133. And right before I filmed this video, Ms. Carol Wilkerson from the Small Business Administration Press Office responded by writing, Neal, thanks for your email. We will be in touch. Carol. So they will get back to me in regards to my questions inquiring about when the Small Business Administration intends to disburse the $10,000 economic injury disaster loan grant for all entities that do not qualify for the targeted EIDL grant program. Click the video you see on the screen right now where you can see a full walkthrough of how to determine whether you indeed operate your business in a low-income community according to the federal government.